Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by PlayPicks and the Lines, coming to you from the West Coast. Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. Time for everybody's favorite video of each and every weekday, our player props video. Make sure you are liked and subscribed to the page. Got a couple other videos up for you today with this pretty nice slate here on this Friday night. Nate does have his great article up on playpicks.com as well, some player props and best bets in there. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or a DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight's player props as we try to keep it hot. Nate, let's get going.
Yeah, as I mentioned, when we break down Bulls at Spurs, I would actually prefer just betting on DeMar DeRozan in that game, maybe parlaying it with the win. 25-plus points for DeRozan in a win is plus 230 at FanDuel, and it's about even money for him to get 26 points. This is his first game against the Spurs with his new team, Chicago. In his last five with Toronto, averaged about 25 points per game, but he has been far more productive with the Bulls because they absolutely need that production, especially lately. Zach LaVine has been out for a few games, and in his last four, DeRozan's averaging nearly 34 points per game, along with 5 rebounds, 5 assists on a 34% usage rate. When the Bulls go on the road, they lean on him even more. He's getting 28 points per game with a 120 offensive rating. And the Spurs at home give up 113.4 points per game. That's second most in the league, 5 more than they give up on the road. They also score about 113 points per game, so it should be back and forth tonight. They allow 52% shooting inside the arc. They allow the second most paint points at home, but it's more about the mid-range for DeMar. And, even if you know his tendencies as one of his former teammates here with the Spurs, you're not going to be able to stop it. He can sidestep either way. And as long as he's motivated to get his buckets, he certainly should be tonight, and he will get those points.
And I'm going to keep going with DDR, definitely on the points, without question. A huge stat there for him. He's getting to the free throw line. He's 9 for 11 on average right now in his last 5 from the free throw line per game. So, I mean, he's getting 9 points at the free throw line alone. We know he's going to hit 6, 7, 8 mid-range shots as well. Highest percentage of points of his coming from the mid-range, only second to KD. DeMar tonight against a team that really can't stop anybody anywhere other than directly inside of the paint where they're scoring but not defending, rather, the Spurs. I feel really good about DDR against his team tonight. He's had really good games. Really random stat. He's had at least 30 points and assists combined in 7 of his last 8 appearances against his former team. Found that one, that little nugget there. So he does come out and sort of validate our revenge factor, if you will. So moving on to the next guy that I'm feeling pretty good about today. We've got CJ. I really love this bet. CJ McCollum on Portland, taking on Houston. You mentioned how you have this game in your article, feeling really good about Portland beating Houston. If that happens, CJ McCollum needs to score a lot of points. You feel pretty good about him with 20.5 points. Feels really low tonight for him. We also really like him to get 25 in a win, which is plus 230 at FanDuel. So those 21 points he needs, you get minus 106 at FanDuel. Still really good odds. We do both like Portland to win this game tonight. So CJ to get 25 in that dub feels pretty good. You look at what he's done against Houston. He's averaging those 25 in his last 8 against Houston, and then his last 4 on the road where they're playing tonight in Houston. We're talking 21 points a game on 50-50 splits, shooting 50 from deep, which is really obviously really, really good. Portland's been a bit better on the road lately. 4-1 in their last 5 road games. Their offensive ratings got to go back up, as we know, against Houston. Everybody's does. We know how bad they are at defense. They're actually, in their last 7 home games specifically, 0-7 in those games with a minus 22 net rating. They are allowing 117 points a game in those instances, and giving up about 61% of their points off of 2-point in their last 3. They're just allowing everybody to do pretty much whatever they want all over the place on the floor. All their opponents' shooting splits and percentages are super nice. So CJ, I think there's been other guys that have been playing all right on offense, as we know, for Portland, but tonight you got to feel pretty good about a CJ game against pretty much the worst defensive team in the league at this point in the Rockets.
Yeah, you said it. I mean, Houston's the worst defensive team, and they play at the fastest pace. You've got a total of 233 and climbing in this game. I would actually go under because Portland's been good defensively lately, but I think that will only help them get the win. And actually, it's up to plus 430 for CJ to get the 25 in a win.
Oh, snap.
Because he hasn't necessarily been lighting it on fire since coming back from that lung injury, but they've played some pretty good teams on the road, including Toronto and Miami. Tough defenses for him to get going, whereas we know he likes to get to face Houston, and we know what he can do without Damian Lillard. In fact, three meetings ago with Houston, dropped 44 points on Houston with Damian Lillard sitting. We know what Nikola Jokic can do, of course, too. His props still seem pretty low, despite the continued ridiculous production. 39.5 points and rebounds tonight in New Orleans. New Orleans is a good rebounding team, sure, but they're 25th in field goal shooting, so there's going to be opportunities for him to board up. And his defensive rebounding rate is 36.5%, one of the highest in the league. It's way up from 26% last year. He's averaging 16.3 boards on the road this year. In his last 8 road games, Yeah. The Nuggets in their last 8 overall are the number 1 offense in the league in terms of rating. And Jokic averaging 28 points, 12.5 rebounds, 10 assists with 4 triple doubles and a 145 individual offensive rating in those games. His last 4 against New Orleans, 34.3 points per game and a 35.7% usage rate. Obviously, if he comes anywhere near that amount of points, his points prop is only 26 again tonight. Then we're definitely going over with the boards. He's been double-double machine since last year, but it's even money for 40 combined points, rebounds, and there's a couple ways for him to get there, and I would definitely expect him to get there tonight.
Yeah, I mean, you're not even surprised anymore when you see Jokic has like 10 boards at the half or 15 boards going into the fourth or whatever. He's just all over the place. He's the only guy doing it down there for them. Their second biggest guy they're really playing with at this point is Aaron Gordon, with some Jeff Green mixed in there and some JaMychal Green. But he's the guy down there. He's the true center, point center, big center. He's in every kind of center. So, yeah, I'm never going to go under on a Jokic prop and follow you along right here with him and the other MVP candidate, Embiid, either way, taking either of those guys with you whenever we feel good about it. So the last one we got for today, Nate, your guy, Jay Tatum. We both feel really good about him. I mean, he's been on a tear lately. The Celtics are a little bit better, maybe. I'm not really going to try to get definitive there. We'll just focus on Tatum tonight against the Hawks. 30.5 points and assists, or just the 26.5 points. Feel pretty good about those, considering when he's in his last 5 overall, he's averaging 30, almost 8 boards and 5 assists on really good splits. 50% from the field, 35% from 3. He's hitting 3 for 9 from 3 about in those last 5 as well, and getting to the free throw line 7 times a game, which is really good for him, up a few from his season average as well. So you got to like the points because of all that. But he's been turning on the assists as well. And versus Atlanta, especially 27 points, actually 6 assists in his last 4 is what he's averaging against them on pretty good splits as well. 44 from the field, but 33% from 3 as well. I like him on the road against the Hawks. You look at what he's done on his last 4 road games: 35 points a game, about 8.5 boards and 6.5 assists, with that 35% usage rate, which is really high against Atlanta career-wise as well. 33% usage rate in about 35 minutes a game in his career versus the Hawks there. So I do love all that. It's plus 158 for him to score 30 tonight. So, you get a little bit more juice if you up that point total just to 30, and if it's at least 30 points there. So you feel pretty good about that as well. And the reason we add the assist in there, I mean, the Hawks are awful on defense everywhere and every which way you put it right now, especially at home with the 3rd worst defensive rating when they're playing in Atlanta. They allow, they mentioned those assists, they allow the highest assist per field goal ratio, in terms of their opponents getting assists on their buckets. So yeah, everything about this game screams, a good amount of points, at least, especially for Boston. Atlanta's doing their thing as well. That's kind of what scares us away from the boards, is that they're not missing right now. They're a very, very good offensive team and a very, very bad defensive one. So you like the points, and you like, for Tatum, the playmaking that's come along to continue tonight against a really, really bad Hawks defense.
Yeah, the Hawks are the 3rd worst defense at home this year, and their defensive rating is up actually to 115.4 in their last 6 home games, but they've won 4 of those. So I think we'll see a close game, a competitive game, and probably a high-scoring game. The Celtics have turned it up defensively lately against some poorer competition, but they are also on fire offensively in their last 3 games. And Tatum, you mentioned the road numbers. It's because he's shooting 57, 51, and 96% from the line. In those road games, just dropped a 50-piece in Washington. I think we feel pretty good about him hovering around 30 points, and then you just need a couple assists to get to that prop tonight. So I love targeting that in this game.
For sure. Yeah, we'll look to stay hot. We had one bad night this week, which really tarnished 3 undefeated nights out of 4. So we'll look to keep that hot tonight, still really rising in those units after a perfect record last night. So until we see you next, happy betting.